Happy Tuesday evening, Notre Dame football fans. I'm Mike Singer, and it is a day of the week, so that means the Blue and Gold YouTube channel is live. We are posting so much content right now between, recruiting updates and interviews with different people or press conference updates or whatever the case may be. We got you covered. And today's show should be pretty good. Should be pretty good. The plan here is, and let me pop it up on the screen. The plan is to do a little half call in, have Chris Zorich. So let me just text Chris to remind him here. See you in 30 minutes, sir. So we're going to bring in legendary defensive lineman for the Fighting Irish, Chris Zorich, at about 8:30 Eastern time. We're going to take calls from now until then, folks. Please hit the thumbs up on this. Sorry, man, the group chat is just blowing up right now. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. And speaking of more content, you're going to want to go to blueandgold.com. We have the $1 for 7 days offer still going on. So it's really a great time to sign up. A buck comes out of your pocket. If you don't like it, just cancel. But we think you're going to love it. So go to blueandgold.com. You got this flash sale, $1 for 7 days. We keep running this because Notre Dame keeps winning. So let's just keep it going. So all the recruiting coverage, premium stories on the football team, behind the scenes stuff that we post on the message board. Like I told you guys on the board today, who I think is going to be that left tackle for the national championship game, based on what I'm hearing, is to drop that on our loose emoji board. So make sure you check it out, blueandgold.com. Lewis says the number doesn't work. I mean, brother, it's been the same number every single time. So I can assure you it works. Let's go to 916. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Over California.
Okay, what's your name?
Andrew.
All right, Andrew from California. What's up? What's on your mind?
All one thing.
What's up? What's on your mind, brother?
Sorry, Mike, I'm at work, but I'm cutting out here. So I'm just calling to get your thoughts and talk about my thoughts and see if we're lining up correctly ahead of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts?
So what my thoughts are, I feel like the regular season, them losing to Michigan, is kind of obsolete. Okay. I feel like we've seen with many other teams in the playoffs, it is a different story. And after them playing Texas, they seem a lot more beatable, which before the game I was like, and as well as many other Notre Dame fans, wanted to play Texas. But then, like Jeremiah Love said, like, we want to play the best and we want to beat the best, and why not play the Buckeyes? With that being said, how they blanketed Jeremiah Smith, I feel like with our corners and our defense and Al Golden, we could come out on top.
Yeah. I think that this is a tough test for Notre Dame.
Of course.
I think this is by far the best team they'll have played all season. I mean, they go. I mean, Buka, Jeremiah Smith, and Carnell Tate. That is a hell of a three-headed monster at wide receiver. That is going to be tricky for Notre Dame. And like Leonard Moore, line them up with the best. But yeah, that is still a tough task for anyone to be lined up one-on-one with no safety help against top 5 receiver in college football, right? I don't know. Like, Notre Dame is going to have to get crazy good pressure on Will Howard.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because if Notre Dame is running that cover one robber and they continue to bring pressure and it is outside the hashes where, like, I love Xavier Watts, but I mean, that's very difficult to go from the middle of the field all the way to the sidelines, right, to make a play on a deep ball outside. Like, so if you're going to do that, you have to get to the quarterback. You're going to have to disrupt him. They definitely did that to Drew Aller, and I mean the receivers for Penn State had 0 catches. I mean, job well done. So yeah, that's definitely the key to the game to me is disrupting Will Howard, just doing what they did to Drew Aller to Will Howard.
Yeah, and then last question, short one. Do you think that we could get a game out of Riley Leonard in the pass game rather than the run game, because we kind of know what we'll get out of him, to be able to win this game?
I mean, I'm gonna pull up Leonard's stats this season. Give me a second. My gut reaction with like this type of question is always we're not going to see anything different. I mean, we're going to see what we've seen all year. I mean,
do you think if he cleans up the interceptions wise, because other than the interceptions, I mean, the first one, he's just trying to make a play. I'm fine with that. But the second one could have hurt us a lot. But I feel like if he just
the first
eliminates the 2 interceptions from last game, we could have a good shot, him passing for around 200 yards.
Yeah.
If a little under that.
Yeah, for me, you have to combine when you're talking about Riley Leonard's yardage, it's passing and rushing. You have to combine the 2.
Correct.
Because he had 223 but only 35 rushing yards. But like the week before, 90 rushing yards, but 90 passing yards with 80 rushing yards. So I mean, I think it'll be around 150, 175 passing yards.
Yeah.
And yeah, he can't turn the ball over. Notre Dame really cannot afford it. I don't know how they had the penalties they had against Penn State and losing the turnover battle and all the injuries and still won that football game. It's wild to think about, but I think 223, that's as high on the season, right? Yeah, I would say between I think about like 150, 175, sprinkling 50 to 75 rushing yards. And then his 2 picks against Penn State. I mean, the Jalen Harrison throw was late and high, and then the one where he got picked off by the D end was just a pretty poor read, pretty poor ball. But it was a nice play by that Penn State player.
Yep.
Okay, so we on the same page, brother?
On the same page, 100%. Thank you for all that you, Tim, Ghouls, Tyler, Jack Sobel, and Kyle Kelly do, man. It's always a blast.
Andrew from California, appreciate you calling in, brother.
All right, thank you.
All right, good stuff. Guys, your boy here got his credential approved for the national championship game. So I am pretty pumped. I'll be in downtown Atlanta Sunday afternoon, and I do not know what kind of trouble I'm going to get myself into Sunday and then Monday before the game. I have no idea. It'll be a lot of fun. We get a pick 6 in this game. I'm calling it. Oh. How about this? I heard this stat in high school. That was a long time ago, so I'm sure it's changed. But if you block a punt, you win the game 83% of the time. Again, I don't know where that stat came from, and it was, 14 years ago. But how about a Notre Dame block punt? I want to know from everyone in the chat, how are you feeling? I'm going to start this for the next few calls we have. We're getting Chris Zorich in here in 20 minutes. How does everyone feel going into this football game? Okay. How do you feel? Like, do you think Notre Dame is going to win? And I want to know why. We're getting a lot of repeat callers because I have your guys' name saved, which I love. But we're gonna go to someone who I haven't heard from before, and it's a great area code. So we're gonna go to 574. What's your name? And you calling in from the South Bend?
Brock. And I actually am from South Bend, but I live outside of Columbus, Ohio now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's rough.
So you have a unique perspective on this game, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness, man. They've had this national championship won for the last 2 weeks. It's kind of ridiculous in their minds, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your, like, when you interacting with Ohio State fans, what's that like? I mean, do you have some positive interactions, mainly negative, or what's the deal?
Oh, I mean, it's all in fun. I went to college here in Ohio, not to Ohio State, so I have a lot of college friends that have been giving me grief all week. But I mean, for the most part, positive, I guess. I mean, nothing too negative.
Okay.
I mean, from when I held out for going to any games at the Shoe. I always said to my friends, I'll wait until Notre Dame comes there. Well, finally, we get our year, we go there. Didn't really have the best tailgate experience because it rained the entire time. So then we finally, the following year, the 10 players on the field, we go to that. That was a great experience. I've been to a lot of tailgates at Notre Dame, and honestly, their fans were pretty nice for the most part. But yeah, anxious to get this game going. To answer your question on thoughts towards the game, I'm positive going into it. I think we're due. I think we're due to, play them 3 times in 3 years. It's tough to beat a team three times. So I'm excited for this matchup.
Nice. What makes you feel most confident about that?
I just think we're going to come out, and I think our team's mad, especially with how that game ended last year. Jeremiah Love put it perfect. I mean, we want to play the best, and honestly, they probably are the best out there right now. But I mean, we're right there with them, so it can go any way. The turnovers aspect of what you're saying, I think it's going to come down to that.
Yeah.
My question to you is, I know he's been trying to come back all year.
No.
We really haven't featured too well. Mitchell Evans, are we going to get him going?
Oh, I thought your question was like, is Ben Morrison coming back? I keep getting that question. No. Mitchell Evans, he had himself a little bit. I feel like coming out of the gates against Penn State, that was the best we've seen him all year.
I agree.
So his statistics in the game, 5 for 58. That is the most catches on the season and the most, against USC, he went 5 for 59. So his second best outing, 5 for 58. So that is huge. I mean, I would call him your most consistent pass catching target. Like in terms of a player, it's got to be him, right? Experience,
right.
He's done it. He's been doing it for years. Yeah, Mitchell Evans. I really like that call out, Brock, as like an X factor in this game. Like if we want to talk about Notre Dame's offense, it's going to be Leonard and Faison and Love and got to get Greathouse continue to go, get him keep going. But yeah, I think Mitch Evans. Do not forget about him.
I mean, I feel a quarterback's best friend with the picks that he threw. Maybe that alleviates some of the pain that he had. Tight end's the best friend. I mean, and it could get the run game going for us.
Yeah, cool. Brock, I appreciate you calling in, man. You hit me up anytime we do these, all right?
Yeah, I watch you I listen to you every week. We're going to be leaving Sunday, so I hope I run into you down there. Save my number, hit me up. I mean, we'll be tailgating. We're going to be there early.
Listen, I hope everyone who tunes into our shows, if you see me, listen, I am not, and Brock, again, appreciate you calling. I'm not like, okay, so I saw Dan Marino at the press box. I saw him in the press box at the Orange Bowl. I was like, oh. It's my first time seeing Dan Marino in the flesh. I walked by him. I could have just touched him. I could have. Starstruck. I'm not going to say anything to Dan Marino. I'm not Dan Marino. If you guys see me, say something. Stop me. I love it. Here's a quick story. I park at the Orange Bowl. Okay. I have my media pass. And they're directing me. I'm holding my little media parking pass. It was in the orange lot. I had a purple pass. I think there was like a designated row for media, but it somehow got filled up already. And I got there really early. right? So the specific like lane for media was already filled up again. So I had to back up, do a little, 6-point turn or whatever. There's like 50 people walking around. It was a disaster. I'm lucky I didn't hit anyone. And they directed me to a spot. Now there was a whole tailgate going on, and to the right of where I was going to park, whole tailgate going on. And they were in front of my spot. They were standing in front of my spot. They took it over. They were not happy about this. I mean, the parking attendant had to keep pushing them. Guys, you don't understand. There's a car coming. You got to get your ass. Move your ass. And I park. This is a true story, by the way. Maybe not the move your ass part. True story. And I can hear them talking as I park. Turn my car off. I'm grabbing my backpack. They're saying, is he a Notre Dame fan or is he an Ohio State fan? 'Cause he better not, or excuse me, Penn State fan. He better not be a Penn State fan. I'm going to be pissed. They're kind of saying that as a joke, but they're like, oh, he better be a Notre Dame fan. So I stand up. I'm wearing like a white button down. And they have no idea. And they're like, well, what are you, a Notre Dame or Penn State fan? And I looked at the person and I said, you don't know who I am? And the person was like, no. And then the buddy goes, oh, that's Mike Singer. Where's Goolsby? That's the story of my life. Where's Goolsby? You know how many times someone has come up to me and said, oh, where's Goolsby? I'm like, I don't know. He's in my pocket. Let me grab him real quick. Where's Goolsby? All right. Story's over. All right, Ryan from South Bend. You're on, brother.
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing?
Was that a bad story, Ryan?
It was a great story. I was going to exchange a story with you. I went home to South Bend for Christmas and actually just rubbed shoulders with Riley Leonard in the casino. So
wait, when was
that
this?
A little during the Christmas holidays. Yeah. And I didn't realize it until like he passed me. He was with his mom and I think his girlfriend. And I was like, dude, I think that was Riley Leonard. And I was with my girlfriend and I turned, I'm like, yep, that's Riley Leonard. I'm not going to be a creep and follow him. And I just moved on.
Good call.
Continued on with my time.
Breaking news.
But
Riley Leonard, after the Indiana game, abandoning his team. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, during the holidays. Like, I go back look what date it was, but it's not that important. You mentioned your Dan Marino story, so I figured I'd share that real quick.
Interesting. Good for you.
Two thoughts on
I bet Riley. Yeah. Riley is like, 16. Should I hit or stay? I'll hit. Oh, it's against a 5. I'll hit. Shouldn't hit. Aw, shucks. I can just see it. Aw, shucks. All right, go ahead, Ryan. What you think about it?
Getting into the casino, and you could tell he was moving fast. He was walking quick. He's long and lanky, and I can see that converting to the football field. His strides are just like whoop, and he's already across the casino. But at any rate, yeah. So two thoughts.
Okay.
So I get the favorite, Ohio being the favorite. I just don't quite empathize with how the confidence on the Ohio side, being that we beat Georgia, we beat Penn State, and to me, those are really good wins.
What about Oregon and Texas and Tennessee? It's better on paper than what Notre Dame went through, if we're going to be honest.
Texas going to beat Georgia with 2 tries. They tried twice, lost twice. We did our first try.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, but I disagree. I mean, it's like Indiana, Tennessee, Penn State, Oregon. Like Oregon just beat the crap out of Penn State a couple weeks before. But I like where your head's at, though. I would disagree, but it's a subjective thing.
Well, all right. So there's that. And I don't remember my second point. It's not important. But did you catch Coach Sig talking about the?
It did not.
Okay, so he was being interviewed on some ESPN channel. I don't know which one it was.
I saw he got interviewed,
but
it was Pete Thamel. I saw it. I just haven't watched it, and I won't, to be honest.
So he was saying, "Hey, you face both these teams. What do you think?"
Oh,
And he kind of showed his hand a little bit and said, "Look, I like Notre Dame's intangibles." And he said, "Can Ohio run away?" Yeah, but he seemed to be weighing Notre Dame a little more heavily. He just said, "Look, that defense is moving fast." He's like, "This is the number 1 and number 2 defense in the nation. Notre Dame's defense is very quick." And he just seemed to be impressed, I think, more with the all-around special teams, scoring on defense that Notre Dame brings. But I want to say he was definitive, but when I was listening, he seemed to be siding with Notre Dame on the slight.
I
just
feel
a little bit.
I feel like it's either going to be Notre Dame wins by, 3 in a barn burner, or like Ohio State runs away with it. Am I crazy?
I think that's right, because I think Notre Dame's going to try to control the clock and do that strategy.
Yeah.
We're not looking to get into a big fight where we're just throwing bombs.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know, man. It's
I just think the overconfidence in Ohio State isn't warranted.
Listen, throw out what the media is saying. Guys, throw all that shit out. What do you think? Like, when you watch Ohio State, what do you think? Will Howard, he's
I
not
don't
the
think
best.
Will Howard's that great.
He's a solid quarterback. He's got incredible
I'm
weapons.
not gonna
dude.
I think Malik Zaire had a point, because that's the first thing I was watching this, and I was like, I just think he's got really good things around him. He's good.
Yeah.
But it's the things that are around him.
If I tweet something and someone is going to say that is former Notre Dame quarterback, you gotta, like, you have a little extra, like, you gotta just make sure you're saying the right things, like, because you have that title. It's different than media icon Mike Singer. I'm kidding, but you're former Notre Dame quarterback. I don't know. Yeah, you gotta be careful with what you say. That like his comments, like, yeah, many of you are like, yeah, I agree with it, but is it the right thing to say when that is your title, former Notre Dame quarterback?
I think he was right until the end when he says, "Oh, he's going to be the one that beats us." Ha ha ha! And I was like, ugh, I don't know about that one. I think he got a point in just that. I don't think Will Howard's as impressive, and I think the draft board suggests the same.
Yeah. I don't think anyone out there is being like, this guy is electric. Is like, all right, I don't know. I didn't love it, to be honest with you, but I don't know Malik. I don't, but I just seeing the tweet and knowing he's a Notre Dame former Notre Dame quarterback. I love it. Ryan from South Bend, appreciate you calling in, brother.
Bye.
All right, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the line, and I don't remember the order that everyone called in. I think it was Eric from Utah. So we're gonna go with Eric. We're gonna go Eric from Utah, Arthur, Luis, and Scott. I appreciate you guys calling in. But Eric, I'm pretty sure, called in first. Folks, hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. We're going to go to Eric, and then Chris Zorich should be joining us any minute. So, Eric, how are you feeling about Notre Dame, Ohio State in the national title game, brother?
Mike, Notre Dame by a billion.
It is Utah, right?
Correct, Utah. But I just have this feeling that it's going to be a great game. Notre Dame's going to come out on top. Back when we talked, probably the first time you did a call-in show, we talked about oh gosh, I can't think of his first name right now. Jaden Thomas, right? Who talked a little bit about Bo and Thomas playing the wide receivers. At this point, I would rather have Thomas in than Bo Collins. I think what we're going to do with the offensive line is going to make us be able to run the ball at will, and we're going to have another classic like we did last year. You probably won't like this prediction. 35-28 is where I'm going score-wise, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful scene to witness this live.
You're going?
Yeah, I just think that.
No, I meant you're going to the game.
Oh yes, we bought tickets right after the Penn State game.
How?
So me and my two siblings are going. We bought them off SeatGeek. We paid a lot more than we would have liked to pay for them.
Tell me, can you tell me how much?
Yeah, $2,600 is what we paid. It's per ticket.
What section are you sitting?
203.
Okay, so that's really good seats. Listen, I've been in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I can't even count. I'm an Atlanta United season ticket holder, the MLS soccer team that plays in that stadium. So I know that place like the back of my hand. 203, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great seats.
We're pretty excited. We've been, Notre Dame fans since Brady Quinn era. That's kind of when we got into Notre Dame football. And, back in 2012, I was 22 years old. And back then, tickets to go see Notre Dame in Miami were $2,200 maybe. And back then I was like, can't do it. And right back then it was like, we have no shot at winning this. And with my siblings, we got together. We said, let's go to the game. We got a really good shot at winning this, right? And so we just have to go. And I can't wait. It's, if they win national championship game, probably going to be top 2 moments in my life.
What would the other one be?
My child's birth.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. Hopefully run into you and Ghouls. I know I put you on 3 message board. So hopefully run into you guys.
You said you're on the board?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm on the message board. You messaged me back yesterday. So
wait, what's your message board name?
I think it's my same. It's Eric AO03.
You messaged me on the board?
Yeah, you said something yesterday.
Oh, I thought you meant like a private message. Okay, cool.
Oh no. So yeah, just.
Oh, Eric. Yeah. I remember you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good game. It's worth all the money to go to witness this. And then it also just wanted to say, thank you on 3, Jack, everything you guys do. After every game, it's, hop on to listen to you and Tim talk about the games. And so, I'm really glad I'm late, right? But I'm glad I found you guys this year, and you guys have made game days and game weeks so much better and something to look forward to. So I appreciate you guys' work.
Eric, appreciate the support, and even more importantly, thank you for being a member over at Blue and Gold, man. Do you enjoy it?
Love it. It's fun. It's a good time over there.
What makes it a fun and good time? Like what do you enjoy about the membership? Sell everyone on it.
Dude, so just the interactions, right? The community that is there of Notre Dame fans, the content that you guys put out. Your gold. Is it gold standard?
It is.
Right. I like Hey Horka. Just because there's, we get a different perspective from you guys and not just fans, right? And it's nice because like Horka's not a Notre Dame guy, and Jack isn't not Notre Dame, like Missouri,
Grow up
Texas.
fans, yeah.
So you get different perspective from fans that aren't diehard Notre Dame fans, and so yeah, it's a great little community that you guys have built there, and hopefully it keeps growing and it just becomes bigger than it is.
All right, Eric. Again, appreciate you, brother. You have a good one.
All right, Mike. Talk to you later.
All right.
Go Irish.
All right. So we are done there. Let me sign off. Scott from Nashville. Sorry, brother. We'll have to take your call next time. We're going to bring in Chris Zorich. He is a friend of the show. This is maybe third or fourth, fifth time we've had Chris on. I wanted to bring on the legend. Was that Roback?
Yes, sir.
I got that same shirt, man. It's in my rotation. I didn't
We're
wear
trying
it.
to be stylish, man. You know, it's an Irish shirt. We got a couple days before Notre Dame beats the shit out of Ohio State. So, you know, got to represent.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you how you're feeling about the game, like I've been asking everyone who's been calling in, but clearly
I'm
you're
a
pretty
little excited,
confident.
so that's good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we can just jump into it. We could kind of talk about all the stuff that's been happening leading up to it if you want. I mean, it's your show, so talk to me.
All right, let's. All right, Chris. I went back to our text, and I haven't talked to you since like last fall. So I want to get your perspective on this season. After NIU, how are you feeling? Compare that to now. Like, what has this been for Chris Zorich, the Notre Dame defensive lineman legend, like walking through this season from your couch, like, and watching everything. Like, what have you thought about this run?
Oh, Mike, it's funny. You know, when you think about kind of this season, obviously I was elated with the results from Texas A&M, but after Northern, like I knew what happened, and you know, I was telling, you know, I had some interviews, I was telling my friends and family and stuff, and you didn't see it until you saw those episodes on Here Come the Irish on Peacock.
Mhm.
Because I automatically, after, first of all, I was obviously devastated. Was at the game. I mean, it just shouldn't have happened. Um, you know, and then the kicker wound up kicking the field goal, and I mean, even if they missed the field goal, I mean, the idea that Northern was close, obviously, you know, I was upset about.
Yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, and you thought that they learned with who was it?
Marshall.
Yes. You know,
Yeah.
you thought they learned with Marshall, but it was hard. And I think it was because there were so many expectations for this year. You had a great defensive line, got a new quarterback. You know, yeah, the offensive line was kind of new, but you had some great receivers. You got a great, you know, DBs, linebackers. The defense was stout. I mean, you had Dunbrock, you had Al Golden. I mean, everything was supposed to happen this season, and then all of a sudden, you got a flat tire, like all the air's out, right? And I honestly think, and I said this a couple interviews ago today. I had some folks, some local media talking to me.
Nice.
If not for Northern Illinois, we would not be in this position now. If that loss would have happened, if that Northern, well, let's say they beat Northern, you know, a couple weeks down the line, they lose to, uh, man,
Like
Ohio,
Louisville or
Virginia,
something.
somebody,
Sure. Yeah.
we would not be in the same position. We lost early, and I think when I referred to Here Come the Irish show on Peacock, you had a chance to kind of see they were almost kind of like overlooking Northern a little bit. And then after the game, you had a chance to kind of really hear from the coaches, and you even hear from Mark. You know, you even heard from Marcus talking about how we weren't as focused, and you knew that after that great win against Texas A&M, who a team that they thought they may not have beaten, right? Because that was the big test.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden it was, well, if we can beat Texas A&M, who's ranked, got a good defense, you know, Elko and everything else, then, you know, hey, maybe, you know, we are the shit. Maybe we are good. And they start, you know, reading the press clippings, and instead of that last rep on the bench that week, they're like, I'm good. You know, instead of taking that last rep in practice, I'm good. Well, look what happened. You have to realize that everybody's going to come into the stadium. It's going to be their Super Bowl. It's going to be their national championship game. And I think they realized that. And they had this amazing focus since then. And that's why I give Marcus so much credit for, was that he was able to keep them focused. And, if it was spray painting the Northern score on the locker room wall, then let it be. But you had to have understood the pain of being ranked so high, having everybody pat you on your back. This is the year, this is the year, this is the year, and literally hit rock bottom.
Chris, like how the hell did they turn it around from there? Like, it's got to be such a credit to the coaching staff. Like, I know Riley Leonard, was it before the Indiana game? He like penned that article in was it the Players Tribune, and he told a story about Marcus after the NIU game. Like, he went in and apologized, and Freeman just like put his arm around him and smiled. It's like, we're gonna rally, basically, paraphrase. Like, and they really did. It's been an incredible run. I mean, your national champion may have a NIU loss on its record,
which is freaking amazing, and I really would encourage folks who may not have read that letter that you mentioned. It was, I think it was entitled like Riley Leonard's.
He tweeted it. Yeah,
letter
you
to
can
the
find it on
fans or something
Twitter.
like that.
Yeah,
and it was just so amazing. I give him so much credit because, and really, you're talking about a true leader, right? Because you look at what leadership talks about, and you talk about being humble, right? I mean, why is Marcus Freeman the only one that has went back and spent time with Lou Holtz? Why was Marcus Freeman the one who's literally like listening at the feet of Lou Holtz as he talked about how he was successful at Notre Dame? They even covered that in Here Come the Irish. I mean, no other coach has gone, no other coach has done it. You think Brian Kelly was going to pick up the phone and call Lou and say, "Hey, Lou, how did you do it here?" You think he'd go visit him? Hell no. But that's the type of person Marcus is, and I think that reflects on the individuals that he brings to Notre Dame. So you talk about this letter, right? I mean, for one to admit their faults in public, you're the quarterback of the University of Notre Dame, and you're admitting like you were devastated. You're calling your mom at 3:00 in the morning, right? I mean, you were unhappy. You gave us that journey of like being unhappy, not thinking you have value. And who did you depend on? You depended on his teammates. And his teammates saw that, and they're like, "Dude, you're a leader, man. Hey, man, we got one game. You didn't lose that game yourself." Obviously thought he did. You didn't lose that game. There were, 60 offensive plays and 12, whatever. So you cannot take that responsibility on your back alone.
right.
And he needed to hear that. And what happened since that game? Whatever happened, they've been able to come back and win.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Chris. My memories of having you on the show are you have whiskey and a cigar. I'm kind of disappointed. I'm kind of disappointed.
I'm in my house now. I can't smoke in the house.
Yeah, you were in the garage, I think.
The garage is a little too cold right now. And unfortunately, I just finished dinner, so I haven't had a chance to grab that whiskey yet. But eventually, he'll have a chance. Are you going to go to the game, Mike?
Are you?
I am. Yes.
Hell yeah, I'm going, man.
Yes.
So what does going to the game for Chris Zorich look like? Like, are you sitting with the common folk? Like, do you get some where does Chris Zorich sit at the game? Like,
we're in the process of finding that out right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have there's a list somewhere that supposedly I will get called upon. So
is that like through a Notre Dame thing? Like, you got
through the athletic department, hopefully, but I have no idea. So I'm just waiting, like everyone else. But
yeah.
However, I heard that the tickets are going for like 10, 13 grand. So if I got to pay, I don't know if I'll be going.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty penny. It is. So I was like on pins and needles to wait for that press pass email to come in, because we have 4 people from Blue and Gold in the press box and 2 photographers on the field. That's 6 for the national championship game, I was like, I don't think we're going to get all of it, but we did. So I'm pumped.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Oh.
congratulations, man.
Oh, dude.
That's great.
I'm pumped. So I'm going to be doing the post-game show from the press box with Tim. It's going to be incredible. Have you been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium before?
I have not. No.
Oh, incredible. Yeah, great location downtown Atlanta. So much to do around there. More so on the east side of the stadium, but it's awesome, and it's a sick venue. Okay, so let's talk about more of the playoff run. Thoughts on Georgia, the Penn State games? What did you see from the Irish?
So, well, as a whole, I think that needs to have some tweaking, because you can't have a team like Boise State. And don't get me wrong, I think they're a good team, but they don't deserve a bye.
Talking about the playoff needs tweaking.
Correct. So when you look at kind of where we were in that mix, I thought that it was a great point, and everybody thought it was a hindrance that Notre Dame did not have a playoff or did not have a conference championship. And now you're realizing, according to the coach at Penn State, like, everybody now should follow the rule that he does, and then he has to play in the conference championship. Therefore, everyone should, which is a bunch of crap. So I mean, obviously that was motivation for Marcus, but the idea that you have to look at kind of what teams are there and what are you trying to accomplish. Now, it was our first year. Understand it. I mean, it's going to have some tweaking, but I think Nick Saban said it the best on one of the game days, that you have to figure out, you can't have a Boise State, you can't have a SMU, you can't have these lesser teams vying for these positions. You really have to look at strength of schedule and your opponents, because that's going to determine who's going to have the best record, or I'm sorry, the best team with a good record. Now, they might not be undefeated, but they will have had played the best opponents available. And I think that's important, because you have someone like Indiana who came in thinking that they were this world beater, and you saw that it was nothing but an average Big Ten schedule that they were able to walk through. And when they saw tough competition, they lost. So it's interesting. So you have to look at kind of the whole picture when you talk about kind of the playoff. When you talk about Notre Dame's run, excited, had the opportunity to be at the game for Indiana. That was huge. It was a great interstate rivalry. I just wish it was a better opponent. But you look at, afterward, Georgia, right? So I'm thinking we're not going to do too well against Georgia, but we were able to pull it out. And after that game, I just knew that we were going to be unstoppable. Penn State really hadn't played anybody, but they had some really, really good players. I mean, even competing in the Big Ten championship, and then now having a chance to kind of see how they played against the Irish, kind of makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think Ohio State is going to be a great challenge. You want to play the best. I think someone asked Jeremiah Love, I think, in the media, who he wanted to play even before the Penn State game.
It was after, actually, in the locker room.
Okay, right. And so, but that's what you want to do when you're at Notre Dame. You want to play the best, right? And so the idea of now having a chance to really play one of who I think is one of the best teams in the nation, you have a chance to kind of see where your program is at. Somebody sent me some information about the number of 5-star and 4-star players each team had. Notre Dame isn't there yet, but this is an opportunity to show you as a team where you stack up when you're playing these type of opponents. And now you know that you belong in this arena. So if that's the case, then perfect example, right? So you look at something like that, but then also Penn State, they had more 5 stars than we did.
Yeah.
So it's this idea of, now if you have good players, or if your players aren't as good, how are you winning? Well, there's something called coaching that's involved. And that's what I think Marcus has done an amazing job this year.
Yeah. Okay. Watching this team, do you get like vibes of your championship team, Chris? Like, do you see similarities at all? I know that's kind of tough to do without being in the locker room, but I'm curious if you had a thought on that.
Sure. I mean, when you kind of watch the team and how they gelled throughout the season, I mean, no one thought we were going to do what we did in '88. Maybe they were talking '89 or '90, but in '88 we were kind of relatively unknown on this, competitive national champion scene.
Yeah.
And if you look at Reggio, if he doesn't make the field goals, or I think it's Gillette, if he doesn't miss the field goal, we're not even national champion. So this idea of playing close games, I mean, it takes a lot to win a national championship. And a lot of people think it's easy because Nick Saban was fortunate enough to win 7. When you look at how unique it is to win a national championship, it's hard. It's so hard. We thought we were going to win 2 in a row. The following year in '88, we lost 1 game in '89. So we thought this was going to be like in a thing that's going to happen every year for us, but it didn't. It happened one time for us, and yes, it was special. But this idea of things, all the signs have to be in order.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where Marcus Freeman and the football team is just trending. You have everything trending in the right direction. You're going to have to play a great opponent. You have some great athletes. I mean, it's going to be a battle. And look at what Marcus has to deal with. He has to deal with going out and playing his old team, right? I mean, the team, the much passion as I have for Notre Dame, I'm sure at one point he had for Ohio State. I mean, he loves Ohio State, right? But he has to go out there and kick their ass. And then you also have the idea of kind of the revenge factor of the last time they played. So I think everything, and again, give me this David and Goliath, scenario. I mean, I'll take that.
So you like that Notre Dame's a big dog?
Oh, absolutely. Please. I mean, when you line them up, when you look at them, come on, man. I love that. I mean, you want that as a chip on your shoulder going in, because ranked number 7, you got nothing to lose, bro.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there and play balls out because that's what you can. You're not going to play not to lose. You're going to play to win.
Yeah. For like, everyone has their different opinions on this. For me, just beating Georgia the rest of the way, it's just like anything else they do from here is gravy. Like, you beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, the SEC champs, finally got the monkey off the back from the big postseason win. Then you go out and beat a really good Penn State team. Shit, now we got Ohio State in the championship game.
Well, somebody sent me a meme and talked about how many Marcus has already beaten more top 5 teams or top 10 teams, whatever, than Brian Kelly and also the coach of Penn State. So
Franklin.
it was just kind of funny. Franklin. So it's just kind of funny. Like, in the span of literally 2 months, he's already surpassed what Franklin has won,
Freeman, like, with Kelly, was like, man, the ceiling's not there, but that floor is high. He's not losing. I know he did a little bit early, your USF was at Tulsa, but
right.
Late in the Brian Kelly was just like, we're going to be who we're going to be. We're going to lose who we're supposed to lose to, right? Freeman, maybe the floor has been a little lower at times, but the ceiling of this football team is so incredibly high. The wins that he has had this season, but you even go to the seasons prior, for him going back to his defensive coordinator for the Irish that one season, like, won some big games. I want to get your thoughts on, look, after NIU, guys like me are like, ooh, are his days numbered here at Notre Dame? To now, it's an extension. It is build this guy a statue potentially next week. Tell me about Marcus Freeman. You've talked about him a lot in this discussion, Chris, but how thrilled are you that he is going to be the coach of the program you love so much for the foreseeable future? Now, I know you have a connection with the Bears as well, and there's been some discussions about the Bears wanting to interview Marcus, so it could be a win-win for you, Chris. But I'm kind of joking, but just thoughts on the job Freeman's done and the extension for him.
Well, I was fortunate enough to kind of get to know Marcus early, before he became the big shot head coach he is now. But and that took place through the podcast I used to have when he came on as the defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And we're laughing, joking around, and really just told him, hey, you've turned recruiting upside down in Notre Dame. And he's like, why not? I'm going to go after these guys and these guys. And I was like, man, that's never been done before in Notre Dame. You got to be careful. He's like, be careful. Why not? And I was joking with him. And I think it was around the time where I think it was Oklahoma. They brought out like Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces and just kind of like these nice cars for recruiting weekend. And I was like, yeah, it's funny that they would need all that stuff to try kids. And Marcus was like, well, why not? Why can't Notre Dame do that? Why can't we start talking to those kids? And my eyes started to get open. I was like, oh my God. So I became a fan of his through that podcast, like when I first talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually became the head coach and everything else. And it was interesting because I happened to be on air doing my podcast when it was announced that Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. And so my producer was like, Chris, what do you think? Who's going to get the job? What about your boy Marcus? And I honestly said, I was like, there's no way that they're going to, give it to Marcus because he just doesn't have the experience. There's no way he's going to get the job. And so, of course, I had to eat my words because a couple months later, I get him on the podcast as the head coach. And I told him the story. And he was like, Chris, I didn't think I was going to get it either. So, it's just that he's this humble guy, was in kind of almost the perfect circumstance. And the reason why he was even considered was because he's this great, voracious recruiter. Like no one can out recruit him. So now, if he's the head guy, guess who he's going to have implementing this recruiting philosophy he has? It's going to be his assistant coaches. And then you have to think about kind of what he's accomplished as a head coach. Now, let's understand, this is year 3 for him. His first game, he had to coach against his alma mater.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so let's understand kind of like where he's at in this realm of coaching. You think about, oh, is he going to be here after Northern? Well, if we're thinking like that, then we need to really assess what we're talking about, because it was year 2 in his 3rd year of coaching. Let's understand it. As a first job, he didn't coach at William & Mary, he didn't coach in Minnesota, he didn't coach in Arkansas like Holtz did. I mean, Holtz got this job after 4 or 5 head coaching experiences. Marcus gets the job, and he's the newbie, right? I mean, he's the new guy. So he brings this fresh, different perspective. And so when you see his growth that he's had, and I think really when you watch the Here Come the Irish show on Peacock, you really get a chance to kind of see growth even this year. What he's been able to kind of learn throughout the season, to the point now where literally he is going to be competing as a coach. Now, let's not forget he competed twice as a player to be a national champion. So let's not forget that. This guy was a stud. He wore number 1. He played linebacker at Ohio State. Like, let's realize who we're talking about here, right? And you're talking about aggressive, talking about an ego, talking about a great player, and now you're understanding how he became a great coach, and more importantly, kind of how he learned these leadership qualities. Brought in Jim Tressel, like really kind of that was his mentor, almost like a father figure for him. So we got a great guy, and our athletic director Pete Lavacqua would have been insane not to sign him for an extension.
Yeah, it's been incredible, like to just watch his growth, because when you hire a first-time head coach, you're going to take some lumps, but he's going to recruit his ass off, and he did such a smart, selfless thing by hiring guys with a ton of experience, like Al Golden, and then
he doesn't have the head coaching experience. What does he do? He goes out and gets a guy who's had that and says, "Hey, I don't know that." Like, what leader I mean, and this is what leadership is all about. But what leader can put their ego aside and say, "Hey, teach me"? You think Brian Kelly would have done something like that?
Mm-mm. No, no. And I think just this year post NIU game, I've talked about this a ton because I watch every single second of press conferences from this guy. And he has just gone from, and this is my opinion, I feel like it was, I'm going to try to win these press conferences and I really want to put on, this kind of this show, for the lack of a better term. Post NIU, I don't care. I'm gonna get let's have coach speak. Let's get in. Let's get out. He definitely gives some
Right,
insightful answers
right,
still, but it
right.
just seems a lot more business to me. For just the entire Notre Dame operation. Like I remember Notre Dame and Freeman's first year as head coach. They love doing like, we're gonna have a commitment on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're gonna line it up. We're gonna have the kids announce it now. You know what they do now? Not that. They don't care. There's just less about like winning the public
Right.
space, and now it's
Sure.
just win on the football field. And not that those things are
And
bad.
that's
I just
both
feel
good
like it's
and
been a
bad,
growth.
right? I mean, it's both good and bad, right? Because as part of the media, but also as an administrator, I see it. It takes a village to win a national championship, and the sports information director has done has worked his butt off or her butt off is just as much as, now maybe not as Marcus Freeman has, but they contributed as well. And so it takes a whole bunch of people. It takes trainers, it takes doctors, it takes physicians, it takes everybody to be on the same page for this to happen. And
Yeah.
so if they have to pull back a little bit on media interviews or access to some of the kids, then let's find a space where that can happen. Now, if they were doing it and they weren't winning, then that's a different story, right? But they're able to do it and kind of get away with it
Yeah.
because they are winning.
Yeah. So a couple more things and we'll get you out of here, Chris. Kind of talked about it right when you joined, but you're feeling pretty good. Like, and I'm even okay if you remove the Notre Dame hat and you take off the blue and gold colored glasses, how Chris Zorich, not the former Notre Dame player, just the former player, football player in general, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. I don't know how much Ohio State you've been able to watch, but like how these two teams match up, like you really do feel like Notre Dame's going to go in and get that win?
Yes, and unfortunately, because they're going to have that underdog attitude. I mean, again, when you line this team up and you want to play the best, man, I'm going to emphasize that again. I mean, understanding that, like, when we won the national, and I don't want to be that guy who says, "Oh, when we did it," but when you look at the ranked teams that we played, like every week wasn't a ranked opponent, but it was almost every other week, right? And so we were able to kind of test our mettle, right? And so you think about that Miami game that everybody talks about, the 30 for 30 game. Well, we weren't really ranked going into that game being very good, right? I mean, Miami had just won a national championship, and literally they were sitting there saying, you know what? I mean, who's this Notre Dame team? I mean, we had previously beat them like 58-2 or 7 or something like that. So they really didn't care about who we were. Well, when you think about this team, I mean, this team has that, disrespect as well. I mean, after losing to Northern, who loses to Northern Illinois?
Yeah.
And one more thing about coaching and a person's ego. How about the fact that Coach Hammock decides to call Marcus and say, "Hey, man, if you want to know how we beat you guys, I want to talk about it." And what did Coach Freeman do? He took the call.
I
They
would have hung
talked
up the
about it.
phone. I would have hung up the phone.
There you
But
go.
but
So
Marcus
think
didn't.
about what that means, right? Think about what he's teaching his kids, not his biological children, but the kids in that locker room. What is that? What does that tell them?
Yeah.
And so these are the messages that a leader not only portrays, but actually acts out, right? You're seeing this in real time. Oh, well, you took the phone call of the guy that beat you? Like, what does that say? I mean, that show hate. He puts his ego aside for the bigger cause of the team for us. And again, I'm not saying that he learned anything special, but he took that call. And I guarantee you even said it. I don't know if I would have taken the call, but I guarantee you 99.9% of the coaches out there would not have taken that call.
Yeah. Tell us about what Chris Zorich is up to these days, because I think your YouTube channel podcast is kind of. I don't see you on there. Is the mini Clover still
actually,
going on? So
life
what's
kind of
going
caught
on?
up with me. I'm kind of working full time, and I was working semi full time when I was doing the podcast, but now I'm really working full time. So the idea that I have and I was doing everything. I was editing. I was trying to do the video. So that it took a lot. And one of the biggest challenges with the podcast, although I love my teammates, I originally started off doing it live, which
I know a thing or two about that. It can be tricky.
yes, and but more so, and I didn't talk about technical difficulties, but issues with guests and
Not
not
showing up.
realizing what day it's supposed to be.
Oh well, Chris, I had texted you before I was live. I'm like, oh, I'm very much on top of scheduling.
You
It's
have to be.
you
Totally
have to be. People just not show up, and then you sitting there with your thing in your hand. You're like, what am I gonna do?
Oh, I forgot. Look, okay, you didn't forget, but we've been talking about this, we've been on social media about this for a long time. Last couple of days, you're not going to show up. Oh man, Chris, my bad. I'm on vacation. Really? So I learned then I needed to tape, but then after that, it just got too busy, and I could have done it a lot easier. But I really liked the product that we produced. And so you're also talking about, like, I had to research. A couple of guys wrote books, so I'd read the books beforehand,
It's a
and
lot of
then we
work.
ventured out to like legends instead of just players. So now I had Tom Mendoza on. I mean, I had guys who really kind of have made a difference throughout the history of Notre Dame. And so then it became more than just a bunch of old guys, old football players talking about their touchdowns and tackles and stuff. But since that time now, I talked again about having a chance to work full time, but I work for an executive search firm called Randall Partners. We find folks jobs around the country,
Like
all
coaching
throughout the country.
jobs?
No. Just actually like vice president's jobs, manager jobs, presidents,
Sick.
CEOs, you name it.
Well, Chris, if you want to stay in this space at all, dude, I will have you on all of the time. I love talking
I
with you.
appreciate that. Thank you very
So
much.
if you're okay with it, I'll keep hitting you up from time
Please
to time.
do.
We'll get you
Please
on
do.
here.
I enjoyed, have a lot of fun, and I've had a chance to experience some of your listeners and viewers, and they're awesome too.
All right, Chris, really appreciate you joining us for this week. And if I don't see you in Atlanta, it was great to get to talk with you. And yeah, we'll see how your alma mater does next Monday.
Mike, hopefully I have a chance to hang out in Atlanta,
Dude.
but I think it's going to be nothing but a great Irish win. But Riley's going to have to play a perfect game.
He is.
If that's something that he can do, then I think we're going to come away with a great victory.
And if I see you in Atlanta in a tailgate kind of scenario, and you're not holding whiskey and a cigar, I'm going to be pissed. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right, Mike. Thanks a lot, man. Go Irish.
All right. That's Notre Dame legend, national champ, defensive lineman, spent several years with the Chicago Bears. Chris Zorich, an incredible guest. Folks, if you have not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Tim is going to be live with me tomorrow night. I haven't nailed down the time. It'll either be 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll be live with Tim tomorrow. Double header on Thursday. We're going to do a recruiting show. It's going to be me, Kyle Kelly, and Steve Wildfong. We're going to talk about the Ohio State Notre Dame game from a recruiting angle. And then Thursday night, it's going to be me, Kyle, and Tyler. We're going to continue to break down the game. Friday night, me, Mike Goolsby, and Tim Hyde, the three amigos together. So that is the show lineup. And that's not including different videos that I post throughout the afternoon that are not live shows. So here at Blue and Gold on our YouTube channel, we have you absolutely covered. So make sure you lock in, as always, to this YouTube channel. And if you have not done so yet, please consider taking advantage of this $1 for 7 days offer on our website, blueandgold.com. As Eric mentioned earlier in the show, incredible stuff, the community, the intel. It really doesn't get much better than Blue and Gold. So please check it out at blueandgold.com. Appreciate you guys for watching or listening. And as always, we will catch you next time.